Hello, Masters. Let's start the meditation. To the Supreme God, to my spiritual teachers, to all the spiritual teachers, holy masters, all the saints, holy angels, spiritual helpers, and all the great ones, I humbly invoke for your divine guidance, divine love, divine blessings, for illumination, for divine oneness, divine bliss, divine health, and divine protection. Divine guidance from Brahmarshi Pitama Patriji, Mahatar Babaji, Ramta Master, and all the and with humble pranams to all the other masters who have joined us to ensure that this divine design book is successful through all the energies that are collectively assembled here. Please sit in a comfortable position. Cross your legs, clasp your hands, remove your spectacles, close your eyes. Let's start the relaxation practice. Let's go over each body part and start the relaxation. The head region is relaxed. Throat is relaxed. Shoulders are relaxed. Complete back part is relaxed. Chest is relaxed. Stomach is relaxed. Hip region is completely relaxed. Thighs are relaxed. Entire leg is relaxed. From head to toe, my entire body is fully relaxed and relaxed and relaxed. My forehead is relaxed. Throat region is completely relaxed. Neck is relaxed. Shoulders are relaxed. Back part is completely relaxed. Chest is relaxed. Stomach is relaxed. Hip region is completely relaxed. Thighs are relaxed. Calf muscles are relaxed. Knees are relaxed. Feet are relaxed. Head to toe, my entire body is fully relaxed and relaxed and relaxed. Let's proceed to the Anapanasati meditation. Just watch our breath, our natural simple breath. Breathe in and breathe out of the natural breath. Slowly come back to your body consciousness, masters. At the count of 5, please keep your palms on your eyes and then open your eyes with a beautiful smile. Welcome to day 29 of Divine Design. I don't think we have any questions, so we'll go directly to the chapter. Okay, yesterday we did the galactic races and the reptilian, galactic and the reptilian beings. Okay, we spoke about the greys, and then we also discussed about how each of these races over the period of evolution, even they were discovering and things like that, and then they were more than improving or moving towards evolution. They were basically destroying themselves, and at that time they have done a lot of stuff like trying to figure out how human beings have been designed, and they have tried to abduct human beings and things like that also. But one thing I was thinking is, why shouldn't they have actually worked together with GFOL at that time and then figured out? But maybe over a period of time, when your what do you say, frequency drops, you may not even be able to think from a level of asking somebody, and then uh, maybe thinking like that. I don't know, but it did not happen. So they have done all sorts of such things. Okay, let's start with the galactic races today. The galactic races were highly intelligent, advanced in their technology, and scientific in nature. A few common galactic races were the Anunnaki, the Greys, and the Zetas. They interacted with the human form. They interacted with the human form through experimentation, technology, and education. They wanted to understand how high frequency consciousness could exist within a human form. They wanted to dissect it and understand its design so they could replicate the same type of form. Okay, so here they were also intrigued by the human mind and egoistic structure. They wanted to learn as much as they could about how these structures worked within the human form and if it was possible to control the human mind. I have already shared the YouTube link right here. So basically, human body, like we discussed yesterday, has been a very, across the cosmos, it has been a very complex designed instrument. And many races have actually been very intrigued about it, and including all these Greys, Zetas, and Anunnakis. And especially when it comes to these Anunnakis, there's so much of story about um, how they how some of the human beings, no, not just the human beings, some of the races themselves, the Atlanteans, and there were many races by themselves, right? How they have, how they took over the other races, and how they had made the other races also their slaves. So lots of such stories are there in many books. This is just a high level understanding of what happened, but if you read many such books, there is so much of detail about all of those kinds of things. So but we'll not just go there, we'll just understand that there are these races who created these 4D races. These 4D races were created majorly to do just this work of tampering with human technology. Okay. In contrast, the reptilian races were all about manipulating and feeding off the human energy field and high frequency light within the form. They understood how the quantum field works and knew how to energetically pull the light out of the human form. They would deplete the human body of its energetic force. The human body would either become weak or sick or die. These races would also infiltrate the human form. They would energetically move themselves into the human body and take over the energetic field and human. Very few reptilian races were the Dracos, lizards, and manatees. Summary. What unraveled between the two distinct 4D groups were the creation of many programs and tactics and impacted the human in ways we never saw coming. These programs were experienced by the human as abductions, hybrid beings, mind control, implants, infiltration, and human form, and feeding of the human's light. It is important that as we begin to describe what unfolded over the next 4,500 years on Earth and with humanity, you try to hold this experience in a neutral field. This can be challenging, as this was one of the most terrifying and dark times in human history. However, from our perspective, it was just consciousness experiencing their energetic signatures in the 3D dimensional field. So, in 3D or in 4D, how things play out, we really don't know, because there is so many things that are actually the frequency itself is playing, and everybody acted out of free will. But in which direction that free will took them, it was not at all predictable. There was no right or wrong in the way consciousness, races, or beings express themselves. There is no evil or dark. It is consciousness choosing to express itself, and in this case, express itself in the dense, dualistic 3D field. We understand how challenging this must be from your perspective. However, we hope that you can remember that all was and is divine and perfect. Let us share with you what can only be described as some of the most intense moment in Earth's 3D history. See, when you read all these things, instead of blaming, instead of taking sides, what we can only understand is it has already happened. Okay? And we all have been a part of it. We have all been a part of it, because in between what happened is there have been a lot of hybrids between the human beings. There have been a lot of cross breeding between human and all of these races over a period of time also. Okay, we don't know from where we have come. So to a large extent, all we can only say is over a period of time that today whatever has happened is done, but we have now got the opportunity to go beyond all of these things. And why do we have so many patterns in ourselves? Is because of all this history that we have gone through. Okay, it's not just one person, it is the entire collective has gone through this history. So which is why we all have a lot of stuff to release before we go there, and it's not going to be easy. And that is why we are getting too much of help also from the masters. We are getting knowledge, and we are getting all these experiences as to how to handle everything. Every step of the way you're getting help, right? Most of the time, so for the last many months, you have constantly been getting help. You've constantly and we have to work on ourselves only, but we have constantly been getting help. We've constantly been getting opportunities to meditate. We've constantly been getting opportunities to study something or the other and then go forward. Chapter 11, Abductions, Hybridization and Implants. The Galactic races created and ran the abductions, hybridization and implant programs. They were interested in learning as much as they could about the human form and the consciousness held within that form. This curiosity led to creating some physical forms in higher dimensional frequencies, as well as controlling the human through their mind. The abduction of the human, a three-step process. The two large programs that were experienced during this time were the abductions and the hybridization programs. The galactic races had a three-step process which began these programs. First, they needed access to the human forms that were vibrating in a lower 3D frequency. Second, they had to shift the human form into a 4D field, because in 3D they can't do too much of work, because they can't be here vibrating for a long time. So they had to make the 4D go to 3D. 3D go to 4D. Third, they had to teleport the body through a portal and into a 4D field that held the rooms where the experiments would take place. In fact, in English also, in the English Bollywood movies also, so many abduction movies have actually been have been taken because of many of these things that have happened in real life. People would generally be missing, kind of thing. Accessing the human forms. The galactic races needed access to the human body without the human's conscious awareness, right? The human being wouldn't even know that I am being accessed. If a human were aware of what is occurring, it would create emotional, mental, and perhaps physical distress. it would be challenging for the programs to take place. They needed to override free will through the manipulation of energy. The human was residing with a third dimensional physical field. They had free will and the ability to create and choose their reality. The density of the 3D field, however, created amnesia, and the human forgot that they had a choice, which means they had free will. They forgot that they could choose and stop any experience that might be occurring within their reality. Today also we don't know, right? Today also, when let's say somebody is shouting at us, let's say some oppression is happening on us, we think that rather we have to only shout. Whatever is in habits only, we keep doing that, right? We don't think that we have a choice to basically respond in a different way. In many cases there are some things like that, like one of them was telling, ma'am, my husband is asking me for a baby, but I don't want to have a baby. I don't have any choice. What do I do? See, that is the thing. It's the mind is basically helpless because of amnesia. The 4D beings were at an advantage over the human. They understood how to create realities from energy. They knew how to access the quantum field and manipulate energy in different dimensional fields. The 4D beings could increase or decrease their own frequencies to move between the 3D and 4D fields. They also knew how to shift the human form between the 3D and 4D fields by increasing or decreasing the frequency of the human body. Most humans were not even aware of how quantum field worked. Therefore, they were unable to stop or shift out of any experience created by the 4D beings. Basically, they had some experiences, but they did not even know that they were actually going through some different experiences. The beings knew that in order to access the human form, they would need to shift its frequency out of the 3D field. Otherwise, the human would be aware of the experience. It would be crucial that the humans were not aware of what was occurring to their bodies. They wanted as little conscious contact with the humans as possible. The less humans remembered it, the easier it would be for the 4D humans to continue to experiment and manipulate the human. To ensure the human would remain unconscious during these experiments, they choose human bodies that were holding low 3D frequencies. Typically, people who are in low 3D frequencies have lots of these weird experiences where multiple personality disorders, many things, when people are not in their consciousness, hallucinating and all of those things, many things will also be happening like that. The lower a 3D form's frequency is, the further away the human will be from the 4D field, and the more it would be difficult the more difficult it would be to feel the 4D human beings and remember the experience. The higher a human form's frequency, the closer it will be to 4D field, and it will be easier to sense the 4D beings, it seems. So they chose people who were of least impact, who could create a least problem. For example, imagine a human being is in an energetic bubble. The 3D field and this energetic bubble holds a frequency that creates a reality for the human. The energetic bubble exists within the 3D dimensional field and has access to the entire spectrum of consciousness within that field. Okay. However, its reality, what it experiences, is based on the body's frequency. That much we already know. If the bubble is holding 3.2 frequency, it will be difficult to experience and feel a 4.1 because it's too far. Range is too far. We told, right? First half is majorly holding the frequency of that thing. But if you go to the second half, then you'll almost be accessing even the next dimension's frequency. If the bubble is holding a 3.6 frequency, it will be easier to access a 4.1. The human in the energetic bubble of 3.6 will have a better chance of feeling and seeing the 4D being if and when these beings are accessing the human body. If the human body felt or saw the 4D beings, it would be very difficult to shift the human out of the 3D field. And the 4D, because once they see some weird looking being or something, they'll become aware of something and they'll try to get away from that state, right? So if they are not even able to see them, then people will be the way they are. The 4D beings knew it would be imperative to access the bodies that were in low frequency to be successful with their experiments. The 4D beings knew which human bodies were in the low frequency by tapping into the human's energetic field. They would energetically hover over thousands of human beings and scan the collective field. Each human form would pulsate out a specific frequency. The 4D beings would energetically identify the human bodies with the lowest frequencies and access them for the experiments. The 4D beings were able to scan the collective frequency without being seen by the human because they were in the 4D field holding 4D frequencies. It was impossible for the human holding 3D frequencies to see them. Once they knew which bodies they were going to be accessing and experimenting on, they had to shift the human body into the 4D field. See, they didn't care whether people had, whether they were a mother, whether they were a child, whether they were anything. They just took. There are 3 reasons the 4D beings shifted the human body into 4D. Step 2. Okay, that was step 1. This is step 2. They did not want to hold themselves in the 3D field to perform the experiments. As we have discussed, it takes energy to lower their frequency down to 3D and for an extended period of time. They did not want to be seen by the humans or allow the humans to have conscious awareness of the experiments. Shifting the human body out of the 3D field meant that the human would not be able to see the 3D beings and would be unconscious to the experiments. Why? Because once a higher frequency comes into the body, typically the body, if it is not able to hold that frequency, it will sleep off. Okay, that is the major issue also. It would be almost impossible to experiment on human body if the human was conscious of the experiments. So typically, if you go to higher energy fields, the body will go off to sleep. So it was easy because the 4.1 is a very high frequency compared to 3.1, 3.2 and all that. So that gap, the body is still not able to hold, right? So it sleeps off. They would have access to their advanced technology to perform the experiments. They needed the higher frequency tools that were in the 4D frequency to perform the experiments. For the advanced technologies to be successful, they needed the human body to be holding a 4D frequency to match the tools of the frequency of the tools. The 4D beings shifted the human forms into the 4D field using the human's dream state. They chose this state because this is when the human's ego and mind are quiet. The human is in the state of being where all the decision making and choices are at rest. It is a perfect time to access the human form, right? So typically when the body is asleep, it goes off to the dream state. No, at that time they went to that astral state and then they accessed everything at the astral level. The 4D beings would enter the human's room, either energetically or physically in their 4D form. Most of the time, they entered the rooms energetically. They remained in the 4D field and accessed the body energetically. If they chose to enter into the room physically, room means I'm talking about the physical room in which the body, they are in the physical space in their house, okay, in that. So most of them entered the rooms energetically. It means through their energy body they entered. They remained in the 4D field and accessed the body energetically. If they chose to enter the room physically, they would move their frequency down into 3D and appear in the unique form. The reason for entering a room physically would be to allow the 4D beings more direct and physical contact if they were having a difficulty shifting the human form. So they had to even move the human form maybe. So once they were in the room, they energetically accessed the light frequency within the human form. They would begin to spin the light, increase the frequency of the human body into the 4D field. They did this through intention without physically touching the human form. So basically, they raised the vibrations of the human body. Once the body was in the 4th dimensional field, they would pull the human form out of the 3D form. They would pull the 4D human form out of the 3D human form. There would be 2 distinct human forms in a room. See, what you need to understand this. There in every dimension, like for example, when we have our own subtle bodies, right? There are subtle bodies which are existing in different dimensions. It is still connected to ourselves, right? So when we are in meditative state and when we go at the astral level, the physical body is still there. In the 3D, the physical body is still there, but then our awareness went to that body. So like that, there is a body, there is our own bodies at various levels. You can access those levels wherever you go. We are there in all levels. We are there in, let's say in in these levels. So you just have to get to that. When you're vibrating, a part of the human form is vibrating at that level. So they used to energetically remove that part. See, there are all in energy. If everything is energy, then you just have to manipulate that energy. That's all. It is not like if it is there in one form, it will not be there in another form. So these are slightly difficult to comprehend, but just believe that these things are possible. There would be two distinct human forms in the room, a 3D form and a 4D form. The 3D human form remained in the room while the 4D human form teleported into the 4D field to be experimented on. Let's say you can think that your energy body was moved into another place. This is challenging to understand. In the quantum field, all possible aspects of frequencies of the human beings exist. There can be 3D, 4D, 5D human form existing all at the same time. See, it is like this. When a human body is designed to be, if a human body is designed to be able to go till 12D level, it means that his own, there is a portion of him, or there is a energy body of him that exists in these levels. So when your awareness goes to each of these levels, that is where you are now anchored. So if you are anchored in this level, now that is the active form of your level. Okay, like that. This is challenging to, so when the human body is shifted out of the 3D field, human body, okay, did I read this? No. There can be a 3D, 4D existing at the same time depending on what frequency the body is holding. Time and reality are experienced very differently depending on the frequency and dimensional field of the human body. When a human body is shifted out of the 3D field, it moves out of the slow, linear time and is experienced in the 3D field. The 4D body exits the 3D body and field, enters the 4D field and is experienced separately. So let me read this again. When a human body is shifted out of a 3D field, it moves out of the slow linear time that is experienced in the 3D field. Okay. So if a human body itself is shifted, then it will obviously go to the field that it exists in, because the body is vibrating. The 4D body exits the 3D body and the field. The 4D body exits the 3D body and field, enters the 4D field and is experienced separately. The 3D body remains in 3D, experiencing a time-space continuum within the field. The 4D body, the 4D human body could be within the 4D beings in the 4D field for linear hours or days, but the 3D human body might only experience it as few hours or minutes. Because as you go higher, the time, what do you say? It'll be longer. Okay. So that is what they're saying. Because of the time-space changes that are there across these dimensions. So you can be in that 4D for hours or days, depends. But here you might experience it as for few hours or few minutes, depending on what it is, depending on these changes. In this case, the 3D human form would remain in the 3D field experiencing linear time, while 4D human form would be shifted into the 4D field experiencing a different reality and a different version of time. The 4D human form and 3D human form are almost identical in nature, except for the frequencies each of them are holding, the way they experience time. It can be challenging for the 3D human mind to conceptualize and understand how both bodies exist in the same now and yet are separate. The human mind works with a tangibility and physicality, what it can see and hold. You can't see the quantum, you can only feel it. It is only when the human is holding higher frequencies that it will understand this concept. Until then, we offer the remembrance of all realities, we offer to you the remembrance that all realities exist in the now moment within the quantum field, and a physical form can be in multiple dimensional fields at the same time. Okay, so this is why we are called multi-dimensional beings, because we are every possible reality, and wherever it is not just we are here in the 3D or wherever we are. We exist in all forms. It is just that we just moved, when the awareness shifts, we are just moving from one level of our body to another level of our own body. So it is not like we are taking the same body and moving. For example, when you can imagine that everything is happening in the now moment, right? So when I'm talking to you in the now moment, in the past we were meditating. So that is another now moment. We just shifted from one now moment to another now moment. That's all. So, for example, let's say you have a problem with the people in your house. Now suddenly, for some reason, let's say you raised your vibration and all of those things. When I say you raised your vibrations, what actually happened is you went from one now moment to another now moment. You went from one frequency to another frequency because you raised your vibration. So what happened? Because of that, you shifted your awareness levels. So there are different use in different frequencies. So when you shift your vibrations, what has actually happened is the awareness, or that soul at that soul level, has moved from one body to another body. It is still the same body, but then inside that levels itself at different frequencies, it moved from one to another. So in that, whatever is the reality, maybe you had a problem with your daughter. Now your daughter is basically behaving in a nice way. It is not like the daughter changed or anything. You moved from step 1 to step 2. Okay, it is that you are moving. When you raise your vibrations, your awareness is moving from one body to another body, and in that body, whatever is the reality was always there, but you did not have access to that in the past, right? There is some body of yours where everybody around you is divine. Okay, there is divinity everything everywhere around you, and you are like you see Vishwarupa everywhere. Vishwarupa of that Krishna showed, everywhere you see only that. Why? Because you are in that level. But today, are you in that level? No, you are not in that level. Tomorrow, when you constantly raise your vibrations and keep going higher, 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 higher means not physical higher, at that level. So you just have to understand that you are not, when you are raising your vibrations, you are technically moving your awareness from one state to another state. When you move from one state to another state, what you left behind, you can't access anymore. But when you are in a level where you can actually, when you're able to grasp all these things at the same time, you will be able to understand that I basically dropped one aspect of my body and I moved into another aspect of my body. Because the switch is so seamless that you won't know. In Immortal Talks, there is a very nice explanation about all of these things, that in the time-space reality, there are scenes. They say there are scenes, okay? Scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. So let's say if I'm the main character, then every single possibility or every single reality for this character has already been created. Okay, every possible aspect, which means including me and the contracts that I have with other people, other souls. That also, every single possibility has already been created. Imagine how complex this design is. Can you even imagine thinking about this? How can they even possibly think like this? You can think, but that is the way that is the way this reality, this quantum field is. It is so complex. You can't even understand it. You need that higher frequency to understand it. So when I say every possible thing, they've told even in design, right? Every possible thing has already been created. In some chapter they told. It means like that. Every possible scene in Smita's life, as Smita as the main character, has already been created. So a soul will choose to go enter that scene and experience it. More often than not, it will continue to keep experiencing scene after scene, scene after scene, scene after scene. In that scene, there are memories also. So The soul is not attached to anything. Soul, in the sense, whoever is wanting that experience is not attached to anything. But the human body has all these related stories. Every scene has a memory, the past memory and all that. Okay, because in one scene you obviously have memory of that past, right? Memory of what happened in our life, all that story you have. So because you end when you as soon as you enter that scene, you will be able to get access to all these things. Okay, so like that they have experienced so if more often than not, this person who gets attached will forget everything, and then until scene after scene, whatever they keep going, and over time the body will die, and then basically they'll exit. That also can happen. Or if they are aware, they can basically, he said, no, if people are aware, then they will know that they can choose, to I'm done with my experience, so now I'm going to get out. So that choice they will feel, they will know that they will have, and they will also be able to exit that scene and then move on to some other scene with some other soul, sorry, some other body. All that they could do, because soul has no identity, right? So they just want experience. So they just shift from scene to scene, scene to scene, scene to scene, and then they keep going. It is not like they just want an experience, and then that story and this and that and all that, and then all these connections and everything are there in that scene. So like this, so many possibilities are actually possible. And this subject is so deep that the more you keep going deep, the more you keep going deep, it is so deep. And what I told you is just something that I experienced, maybe just read 1%, not even 1%, maybe some 0.% I've read. And then based on that connection, I'm telling you that this is all possible. That in those stories, people like Hanuman and all that, right? They have swapped souls in bodies. They have basically swapped um, points, so that they are basically manipulating some of these things, of course, at the higher good. They are doing all of these things without manipulating any laws. So many things that they are doing at a higher stuff. All these are GFOL kind of people, right? So they do all of these kinds of things. They said, no, there is a security council, there is a this council, there is a that council, and all that. So all these councils on the earth level, they keep doing so many things. And do you think these 4D people, all those people did all these things, right? So do you think they said we were sitting and watching, but they did a lot of, they did try to do their best in many ways by not hampering with the laws. They have done their best. They even came in our different avatars also and tried, right? They have been doing a lot of stuff like this. So just imagine that it is all possible, okay? But to understand that, you need to be at a certain frequency to be able to grasp all that, what you are seeing, what you're experiencing at a multidimensional level. Third step, opening the portal. Once the 4D beings had the human form shifted into the 4D field, they then had to open a portal to teleport the human form into the 4D field where the room or space was located and that experiments were being performed. A portal is a pocket of energy that opens into higher dimensional fields. Portals are ways to move through dimensional fields within the quantum field. For example, if you've seen Doctor Strange, I don't know whether you've seen that Doctor Strange movie. In that, he'll go to his teacher. What does the teacher do? The teacher will say, how is this possible? Blah, blah, blah. He'll generally keep telling something or the other. What she'll do, she'll generally push him like this. At an energetic level, she will push him like this. His energy body will come out. He will still be there. His 3D body will still be there, but his energy body comes out, and then it will go astral traveling everywhere. That body is now teleported to that body is basically the one where they are doing experiments and all of those things here. Okay, so in the human's room, no. To enter in the human's room, the 4D beings created portals that would open in the fourth dimension. Once the body was in the 4D field, the 4D being would shift itself, the human body, through a portal. Oh yeah, okay, this also they've done. What they've done is they've taken the physical body also and then gone to the 4D field. Once the body was in the 4D field, the 4D beings would shift itself and the human body through the portal. It is a now moment when one moves through the portal. They told, right, when when we read about the portals, they said that when in these pyramids and all of these things, there used to be a higher fifth dimensional field or fourth dimensional field or something like that. And then these people would come, they would send out an energetic call, and then whoever wanted to come into that pyramid or a temple or something, they would come, and then they would give them that gyan, and then they would be able to send them back. And but once they are out, they are not actually in that level and all that, but then they have got that knowledge kind of thing, right? So here also they did the same thing. They created a portal, energetically they created a portal through intent, and they moved that body, because now that boy is sleeping, right? The body is sleeping, so now that guy is in the dream state, so they were able to move him to that space, because if he's not in the dream state, then he'll be able to understand all these things. 1 minute the human form one minute the human form was in 3D physical bedroom, and the next it was in the 4D room. The portal was the bridge between the human's 3D physical reality and the 4D being's physical reality. The 4D rooms existed within the earth plane, not off planet. This is somewhat confusing concept, but we will explain. It's like, imagine that we were, for example, even on the earth plane, I said that we went to Cosmic Valley, which was in the 8th dimension. So we definitely took the train and then we went there and all that. But so something like that only. Here also they are existing, but portal means from one place they went to another place without actually taking any physical vehicle. The portal that was created within the human's room opened into an energetic field similar to a black hole. When the being and the human moved in through the portal, they would step out into a space, a room that was held within the 4D field within the Earth's form. For example, imagine a Russian doll. There looks only to be one doll. However, when you pull out the first doll, there is a smaller doll within it. Remember that small Russian doll, which it is just a small Russian doll like this. And then it has so many dolls within it. I don't know whether you've played. And then even in India, we've played with so many things. Even, let's say, a bigger brick, one more brick, one more brick, one more brick, one more brick. Those toys we used to have, no? Something like that. There is a smaller doll within it. You pull out the doll and there's a smaller doll within it. You originally saw one doll, yet there are multiple dolls within one doll. This is how the multi-dimensional field works within Earth. I think we discussed this, no, in some class. The most physical frequency is the first layer, the 3D. When you go a bit deeper or to a higher frequency, you can access another dimensional layer of field, such as the 4D. The portals that the 4D beings created provided access into the next dimensional layer of the or field Earth. These rooms within the 4D fields where the experiments would take place. There were hundreds of these rooms, and they made up multiple small structures similar to buildings. The rooms were physical in nature, just as the 4D beings were physical in nature. The 4D field is physical. However, the only way to see the physicality of a 4D being or a room would be to hold a 4D frequency. Any human or being that was in the lower dimensional field, like a 3D field, would never be able to see it nor access these rooms or these beings. Again, this is how the quantum field works. All dimensional field exists to the consciousness of the beings existing within that field. It may be difficult for a human to conceptualize these rooms within the 4D field that was being used for experimentation on human forms, but there are many realities occurring right now that the human is unable to see or access because their frequency is not in that dimensional field. So, in this very now moment, all the 12 dimensions exist in my house only, right? Where I'm currently located. But we can't see it. And I don't have the disturbance from them because I can visualize only my reality. Why? Because those 4D structures are operating in 5D, 4D vibration. 3D structures are remaining in 3D. So even right next to 3D structure, if a 4D structure is there also, because their vibrations are different, they are not like colliding with each other. Again, this is how the quantum field works. All dimensional fields exist to the consciousness or being who are with it. It may be difficult. Yeah. The 4D beings increased the frequency of the 3D human into the 4D frequency. They moved the human form through the 4D portal and into these 4D rooms. They experimented on the human and then shifted the human human form back through the portal and merged the 4D body into its 3D body without the human's awareness. So that 3D body is still sleeping on the bed. And when he was in his dream state, that 4D body was taken, and then they did all, because each of these bodies, right, they have the same information as to what is the emotional body, this body, that all that information is there. Information is across these bodies. So they just had to understand how these bodies were designed. These 4D rooms were necessary in order for the programs to be successful. They allowed these experiments to be carried out for thousands of years without conscious awareness on the part of humanity. Most humans experimented on did not even remember or know what was happening. They were asleep as they were shifted into a slightly higher vibrational field. If they did wake up, their ego took them back to a dream state out of sheer shock, fear, or inability to comprehend what was occurring. Because if you suddenly wake up and then you see a ghost like looking, let's say a demon like looking person or something, again you think that that is not real, no? So they would have just gone back to sleep. Inability to comprehend what was occurring. Rarely were the 4D beings seen on the earth plane. It made very little sense to allow the human to see them, as it would only create chaos and confusion. Their intention was to learn as much as possible about the human form. Engaging with the human in the 3D field would not provide such answers. It would frighten the human being and cause possible harm to both human and the 4D being. Contrary to what many believe, the 4D beings never wanted to harm the human beings. They were strictly interested in experimenting on and learning how to manipulate the human form. If they wanted to harm or torture a human being, they would have allowed the human to be conscious during the experiments. They would have not taken measures to ensure that the human form was in the 4D field. They would have just teleported the 3D body regardless of the impact to the human body. We understand from the human's perspective that these experiments and abductions were invasive and created much fear and chaos. We also know that it could have been much worse had the 4D beings chosen to create a more harmful experience. The 4D beings' state of consciousness was a curiosity, not harm. The 4D beings kept themselves in the 4D field for thousands of years. During this time, they mastered the art of teleporting the human 4D body out of the 3D form without the human's awareness. This allowed the abductions and hybridization programs to expand during these 4,500 years. We watched as hundreds and thousands of experiments took place involving dissecting the form, impregnating the form, and implanting the human form. Impregnating the form means maybe putting their DNA into this form and continuing with experiments. Implanting means maybe putting some devices or some form of energetic stuff so that they could get a feedback and all of those things. The abduction program. The abduction program was the largest program conducted at this time. It was created to dissect the human and study the human body. Hundreds of thousands of humans were abducted out of their beds for the purpose of experimentations. The 4D beings were very intentional and cautious during these experiments. They did not use physically invasive 3D techniques or instruments during these experiments. Again, their intention was not to harm the human form, but to study the human form. These beings were highly intelligent and had access to advanced technology and instruments that would work energetically on the human form. See, when Bashar told about these abductions, he told about that. He told that we have abducted human beings at that time. He said that we collected the human DNA, right, and then we used it in our own new planets and all that. He told like that. They have taken parts of the human stuff and then they have actually created new life forms on their planet. These beings were highly intelligent. They used high-frequency light technologies to enter the human form. This resulted in very little physical damage to the human body. They did not need to cut into the human form. When the body is in a slightly higher frequency, it is easy to access the inside of the form. Most of the time, they would enter the human body through the eyes. This ensured that there were no marks on the human form. They would move energetic probes or light lasers into the human eyes and investigate the human form. Once within the form, they would dissect and study any tiny portions of organs, tissues, muscle, blood, and DNA through an energetic laser. During these 4,500 linear years, the 4D beings learned everything they could about a dense physical body holding the higher dimensional consciousness. Through these experiments, they became curious about how the human form was designed and wondered if they could create their own hybrid human. This is how the hybridization program began on the 3D Earth. The hybridization programs were designed to create new races of beings from the human prototype. The 4D beings wanted to create physical forms that were half human and half galactic. These programs were much more complex than the abduction program and had both negative and positive impact on the human. Thousands of human beings were traumatized while thousands of humans benefited from the program. The hybridization program took place on the Earth plane in the same 4D rooms used for the abductions, as well as off the Earth plane on planets within the 5D grid itself. Which means even on the other planets also, these things apparently has happened. When we close the 5D grid, the 4D beings access the planets to reside in while in the 5D grid. So within the because many people had already entered, right? So now that the grid was closed, within the grid they were able to access whatever was inside the grid, no? So they were able to access that. One thing that I did not understand is how 4D beings can actually go into a 5D stuff. That has not been mentioned here. The planets were in the 3D, 4D, and 5D fields. This meant that they could be experienced in 3 distinct dimensions. The 3D human would experience the planet as round, dense, physical form in the sky. The 4D and the 5D being, there is a 5D being, okay. The 4D and the 5D being would experience the planet as a physical form that could be used to create their physical reality. Most 4D races chose to use the planets near the Earth plane as a location where they could reside while in the 5D grid. The planets held 4D life for thousands of years. They just couldn't be seen in the 3D field by the 3D human eyes. The 4D beings used these planets to build the hybridization programs because those planets were existing in the 4D. They teleported the human body to these planets using the same 4D portal that were created for abduction. It was just as easy to move the human body onto a 4D planet as it was to move the human body into a 4D room within the Earth plane. The portals had access to multi-dimensional fields and locations within the quantum fields. Once the body was shifted into 4D frequencies, it could be moved into any 4th dimensional field, whether off-planet or within the Earth plane. The 4D beings often chose the 4D planet option because it was easier to control and create the hybrid within their own familiar environment. Let me see. Okay, let's do... Shall we do 11.4 tomorrow? Where is this? Shall we do 11.4 tomorrow? Or do you want me to continue? Any say? Unmute yourself.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, can you just explain once more? It's a bit confusing. It's not clear, ma'am.
Okay, let's do one thing. We will stop. We will stop this 11.4. We will stop. We will start. We'll just take questions and then we will discuss this. Okay. Yeah. Tell me what questions you have. Maybe I'll keep this open so that you can ask, and maybe I can go to that part and then also explain.
Ma'am, like hybrid, mostly it's understood, but like 3D, 4D, it's coming a lot of time. That part is little bit confusing.
See
Like,
what they're saying. What they're saying is now when they closed that 5D grid. Okay, when they close the 5D grid, now what happens? There are people here, no 4D races and all are here inside. 4D races are inside. Any clear about that? Nidhi, can you come
yes,
on?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That part is clear, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now what they are saying is there are planets which are in these dimensional fields. So
Mm-hmm.
initially, when they were conducting abduction programs and doing some experimentation and all that, they were basically taking them to another on Earth itself. They were taking them to some rooms where they were conducting these programs. They had buildings, 4D buildings
Mm-hmm.
on Earth. Okay, but
Yes,
now
ma'am.
they were okay to also take them to another planet where hybridization programs were happening. Hybridization means you are now going to create a new race from a human prototype, which means you are going
Okay.
to mix the aspects of a human and aspects of the
Their
galactic.
race.
Yeah.
Huh.
So you're going to merge this and create one being. Like
Mm-hmm.
how we hybridize dogs, hybridize tomatoes, and all of those kinds of things. That is what they do, no? So same thing, same hybrid means same. You're just going to bring one well, let's say a heirloom tomato, and then you'll bring one more hybrid, or let's say some other genetically modified something, and then you mix it up, and then they'll become something else. That is what hybridization means.
No, ma'am, that is clear. Like, why is this 5D mentioned? That is not clear, ma'am. Like the
Uh,
planets
what
were
they are
in
saying
3D, 4.
is what they are saying is within the grid itself, there are other planets also that are existing. Now see, there is a 5D grid. 5D grid means that grid is operating in the 5D frequency. So there is a 5D level also there. Within this grid, there is a 5D level, there is a 4D level, and there is a 3D level. So they are saying that in all of these levels also there were planets. So these 4D beings, they were able to take them to those respective planets. But
Okay.
here, why they brought in 5D means if there is a 5D being who's inside the 5D grid, they will be able to experience the 5D planets. But I cannot
Mm-hmm.
see from 3D. That explanation they have given. But here they are only talking about 4D people going to 4D planets.
So basically, 4D people, the 4D race is abducting humans from the 3D, and they are doing all hybrid experiments. Basically, crux of this is this only.
Mm.
If I
That's
don't
all.
go,
They see it's like if you think if what they wanted to do was they wanted to basically save their own race. Maybe it started like that. They wanted to save their race. Maybe things were just going down, and they wanted to take stuff from how the human was created. So they would
like they've
learn
mentioned,
about
they
all
were
of that.
just curious.
They were
It's mentioned
curious.
that they're
They have
just
not
curious, just
harmed.
curious.
They have tried not to harm a physical human
Huh?
being because once they leave them in on their own in 3D level, those people did not even remember what happened.
Hmm.
So maybe they ensured that it was not even as a part of their imprints. It was not registered as a memory anywhere because in that state, maybe it did not register at all. So they were ensuring that the human was not, but while during the hybridization program, they say that people were traumatized. Thousands of human beings were traumatized while thousands of human beings benefited from the program, they say. So we'll have to read further to see what is a traumatization all about when we
Can
do
I say something,
11.4.
ma'am?
Mm,
Uh, while reading this sentence, the thing that I got in my mind was like Spider-Man was like we see in that movie, na, he was accidentally bit by the spider and he got superpowers. So you can
mm,
say that he benefited, but in some cases, someone gets some or the other power or other thing which they may not want. And like wo Sandman, there was one Sandman who disintegrates. So maybe that thing came into my mind. Maybe
Yeah, something like that.
some sort of.
It is like when a human being gets a cross of a 4D, you don't know whether they will be able to survive.
Hmm.
So maybe like that
Okay.
bodies have died also. Maybe bodies have suffered the consequences also. Yeah, like you said, they have suffered the consequences. Spider-Man is more a very that kind of movie,
He
super,
benefited from.
yeah,
Huh.
superhuman kind of movie. But here, I'm sure there were consequences because the body has to adjust that also, no. Now, let's say there's a lady who has to raise a 4D cross breed inside her womb. Maybe her womb is rejecting it also. We don't know about all that. So maybe all that we will probably read in 11.4.
Thank you, ma'am.
We can read this part and then maybe see the hybridization program began through the abduction program. It was during experiments on the human body that the 4D beings discovered eggs and sperm. Okay, because in 3D there were eggs and sperms. In 5D human being there were no eggs and sperm, and it was all energetic. But in 3D human beings, they had to make it physical, and also they made eggs and sperms and all of those things in a 3D human body. When they redesigned it and all that, this is what was there. When they studied the eggs and sperm, they found the human DNA within these structures. As we have discussed, all human DNA holds light codes that holds the information. The 4D beings found the specific light codes within the egg and sperm DNA that created the 3D human body. They knew they could dissect these light codes to create a new physical form. They also recognized that merging an egg and sperm created the 3D human body. They were learning how to create new physical forms. They understood that they could merge the DNA of a 4D being with the DNA of a human being to create the hybrid being. The physical form would hold a 50% galactic DNA and 50% human DNA. They explored two options in creating the hybrid physical form. Option one was implanting the human egg or sperm into the 4D being. So they have taken the human egg or sperm and then put them into a 4D being for growth. Option two was implanting the DNA of a 4D being into the egg or sperm of human. So they did a cross to figure out what will work. The holder, the mother will be the human, and the mother can also be a 4D race. So both they have done. So in 4 point, in these two, which are, I mean, it's quite long, so I'll not be reading it now. Okay, we'll read it. We'll read it Friday or today. Today is Friday, so we'll do it on Monday. Okay, so for now we will stop here. Yeah, Sangeeta?
Hello. So the reason for abduction and hybridization seems more than curiosity. Like in that Bashar movie also, I watched it only half, and till then already it was discussed that Greys were from a different planet where they were technologically advanced and people had stopped giving birth and they wanted human DNA. And here also they talk about Greys. So maybe it was more than curiosity.
Yeah, they were desperate in making something work.
Mm.
See, as you go
Okay.
into curiosity, what happens? No, you'll get new ideas as to how you can actually make use of something to your advantage.
Then whoever was facing abduction, was it in their contract that they will be abducted?
No.
So this was something that was happening out of the contracts.
Mm.
Mm.
In the DNA, whatever was there was the Akashic Records plan and all that was anyway there. Beyond that, it was happening.
Yeah. And also today we talked about humans existing in 3D form and parallelly also existing in 4D, 5D till 12D. Similarly, would Earth also exist in 3D form, 4D form, 5D form?
Yeah, it would
And
exist.
maybe when they're talking about taking it to a 5D planet, maybe it's also Earth in 5D form.
Yeah. Earth also exists in many such.
Yeah. Okay. At one time, GFOL also mentioned that had we known when there was a fall from grace chapter, so they didn't know that. So of course, 4D races was an entity out of the contracts. Even GFOL didn't know about it.
See, when all of these things were happening, the people who entered, the other races who entered collectively, they were already, rather, they were already collective, right? In some other place also, they were still a collective. They came in and they were watching the whole thing. And they knew at some point that I'll be able to, why shouldn't I use this for our planet? Like an observer, they came, and over time, they did all these things because GFL obviously were not studying everybody, right? We're not studying, oh, is he good, is he bad? That kind of thing was never there.
So
They
when we say nothing
they
happens
opened the
by
door.
chance,
So when we open the door today, we are not allowing everybody inside our house, no, because we are not that kind of people yet. But have you seen temples and places of worship like that? They open it for everybody. But we like that today? We are not like that yet. But there are some houses like that where anybody can come, anybody can eat, and anybody can go. That kind of dharmatma kind of houses are also there. At that time, when somebody comes and steals something and goes, so they say, anyway, this it was not ours, so they took it and went. They will say that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nidhi, what was your question?
So when
Sorry, I didn't really see what.
Yeah, few more things. So again, so when we say that nothing happens by chance, it actually contradicts here that few things that were not planned also happened.
No.
So
When we say nothing happens by chance, at a greater level, you may not know everything. It will still happen for the greater good.
So
Because
at
still God only
GFOL
operating.
level, they didn't know about 4D races that it will happen, but at a higher level than GFOL, maybe it was already planned.
Planned in the sense it was all operating as per maybe what the source wanted it, kind of thing. But who will even know what the source wants?
Two more things.
Because
One is
everybody's source consciousness only, no? Everybody, and if God wants to experience life, his own creation, he's experiencing himself in all possible ways. So which is why they said you should look at all of these things in the eyes of neutrality. They said that in one of the summaries. In the 10th chapter summary, they said you should look at this from the eyes of neutrality.
Yeah, they were also giving a experience of abduction, which might not have been there till then. So it's further widening the 3D experiences.
Yeah. See, there are so many things in 3D, and we have already realized that there are so many things in 3D where you will probably not even get access to them until somebody gives you that experience. That I think we saw. The consciousness will not be experienced unless there is a giver of that giver of that experience.
Like forgiveness. We cannot experience forgiveness until someone does something wrong to us, and only then we can forgive.
That also can be planned. But how can you plan abductions and many of the fears that come with abductions and all of those kinds of things? Unless you can plan it with some HDC or something. But still, maybe nobody had even thought of it, and it actually came through because of all these kinds of things. That kind of consciousness got introduced into the system. Hey, there is one more such thing. Now you will know about it. See, God is playing himself only, in everything.
Hmm. Yeah. Two more things. One is we read today that during the dream state, if the 3D human wakes up and sees the 4D form, at one point they said they won't be able to see 4D forms. And then at other point they said if they see the 4D being, uh, ego will bring them back to sleep or something like that.
If you are, let's say, dreaming about something, suddenly somebody wakes you up. What happens? You'll come back to beta. You'll not be in that theta state. So
What is
ego
beta theta?
beta is the waking state. So you're awake
Okay.
at this time. Then you'll go to alpha, which is like a drowsy state. So there are different levels of consciousness. So like that, you'll be brought back.
But at that time we are not seeing the 4D being at any point because we are in 3D.
You will see only when you come back to this state. And when you see also, you'll be
Okay.
like, is it real? You will be in a drowsy state. See let's say a weird figure in front of you, and you'll think maybe you're still dreaming, and you'll probably go back to sleep.
But why will we even see that weird figure? Because we
You
are
are,
in 3D.
in case you wake up, they said. In case you wake up, in
Even
case
if we wake up, we are still 3D, right?
3D, but you'll be able to recognize somebody, in front of you. In case they are in their physical form. If they are not, then you
But
can't see anybody.
a 3D human cannot see a 4D physical form also, right?
Correct. In case they are in front of you, then you can see.
We can.
Yeah, if they are vibrating in 3D, then you can see them, no? But they didn't want to vibrate
Okay.
because it'll take a lot of energy from their side. Plus, they didn't want to scare anybody.
Okay. Okay. So the last thing is the time they mentioned that when the abduction happened, for the 3D form, it will be only few minutes, but for the 4D form, it might be few days also. But our understanding of this was opposite till now, that uh, things were happening at the now moment, and for us humans in 3D, it was for thousands of years.
See, it's like this. In the very now moment, let's say hundreds of years, uh, like one big yuga is like they say one day for Brahma, one night or one day for Brahma.
Hmm.
So as you go higher, the time shortens.
Yeah.
As you come lower, the time widens.
Yeah.
So
So
for
for
you, it may
4D,
be days.
hmm.
For 3D, it may be few days. But in that place, you may be feeling it as few minutes or something.
Yeah, that's what I expected, but the text was the opposite. That
They have not, I think, explained that very respectively, kind of. They haven't used the word respectively there. So you can't really put a thing to say about which they have told like that. They've just told
Hmm.
that there's a time difference. But if they had used the word
Hmm.
respectively, then you would have maybe mapped it like that. But they did not use, so you can
Okay.
actually take it like the way we know. In terms of time,
So
they
our
have
general idea is at higher dimension, less time, lower dimension, the same takes longer time. Yeah.
longer time. Correct.
Okay. Good. Then I'm done. Thank you.
Nidhi?
Just one thing, ma'am. Like this book they're saying is the BAP of all the books, ma'am. So a lot of clarity and a lot of deeper understanding.
Sorry,
Ma'am,
what
I've
is
read
Bap of
some.
what?
It's the BAP, father.
Bap. Okay, okay. Is this book called the Bap of all the books?
I like after your explanation since last so many weeks and everything, and I can now understand that many of these, whatever you're saying now, somewhere or the other, I've heard. I mean, through some of these sessions or like some of the masters saying maybe 1% from here, 2% from here. So
Hmm.
now like everything is coming into a like full movie sort of. But earlier, maybe I have seen trailers, but now I'm getting like full picture is coming in front of me. So that
Yeah,
is how I can say like this is the BAP of all the.
yeah. See, for me also, right, when I actually read the book, it was not, the understanding was not this deep. In the last few months, now when I've been asked to take the book, or rather when it intuitively came to take the book, it's like as I'm actually reading itself, I'm getting clarity. Before that, I wouldn't. Or let's say when you ask a question, let's say I'll be blank. Or I'll only have that, no, it's not fitting. This is not satisfying me. I'll only have that kind of thing because for me, it has to satisfy, right? First, I have to understand it for me to basically tell you. So when I bring that dissatisfaction inside my own head, it is coming as a clarity. The same thing is coming out as clarity, and then I'm able to tell you. And it is all happening in that now moment without even me realizing when I was in that moment, when I was in that state, when I was in this state. I am only not able to demarcate. So it is all
Happens.
as if there are, it's like I'm just being used as an instrument to bring this education, including me. For me, also, it's an education.
Ma'am, what you're saying, I've also experienced it. Like, may not be in this way, but like since like many a times people ask questions, they say, "How is this? How is that?" So it's not that I have planned or I will say this, but somehow things start flowing.
Hmm.
Somehow I start saying, and then later I realize, ki, what did I just say? I mean, it wasn't as if coming in my head, but I automatically say. It's as if the masters are like it's the words are flowing through my mouth for some other purpose or whatever.
Yeah. So it's
So
like,
what you're
see, 4D, if 4D beings are basically using, other beings also can use us, no?
yeah,
For the
masters are
good, for
using.
the bad, for whatever reason they are, see, we are in that state. Sorry, state.
Haha. And I'm like, I've once read somewhere, or like I've heard, I think, in Sunshine Before the Dawn or in any other movie, book, like holograms, they were
They were
installed by
installed by
these,
these.
Sonia,
I
I
think,
think
4D races or whatever. Like they used to install holograms, and it would seem as if
Nidhi, you also muted yourself. Huh.
yeah. No, like I don't remember which book I had read. Some hologram stuff. It was mentioned that what 4D, like some fallen angels, what they used to do, they used to place a hologram. So it would appear as if lot of mass destruction is going on or some other reality is created, and we start to believe it. But it's not. But it's not at all the reality. It's just a hologram that is fitted.
They mentioned in this book, right? They mentioned that they were able
I
to energetically manipulate realities. They said that.
huh. I think Kajal Teri ma'am was telling about some book or the other. In that she did mention about hologram. I'm not sure about this book. I haven't read it. I'm reading it with you only, so I'm not sure about what the other later chapters
See,
will
this
unfold.
this book is going to give you a high level information. Like it's going to stitch everything together. In which
That's why I
one,
said back of all the books.
where one word or two words can be actually detailed out in
Hmm.
some other book.
Yes, yes, yes. Because now I can make out that the Golden Lake, Sunshine Before the Dawn, Pleiadian teachings, and Bringers of the Dawn are all coming from this book only. Whatever stuff is there, maybe it has been taken out from the divine design and it has been then further explained.
This
Maybe
was
in that
this,
way
this book was written later. Those books came out before itself.
before it's. They
I
talk
think.
about much about the Pleiadians or all those things, very detailed, other books.
Hmm.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoying the journey. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other questions? Sonia, yes.
Ma'am, I wanted to say that these 5D people too did experiments on us, like Pleiadians and all that. That's why, and Lyrans, that's why they could create like Lyrans created Zetas and all that. And these Pleiadians, like I'm trying to reread this book since yesterday. In these Orions, they too took us and they did experiments on us. That's why they too had Christ and Buddhas over there. Uh,
Sorry, what I didn't understand.
Actually, Pleiadians and created Cyrus.
Cyrus.
Yes,
Huh?
and Pleiadians themselves are from Lyra. They are the sub breed of Lyras. And now in this they have written that these reptilians too did experiment on us, sirens did experiment on us, Pleiadians too did experiment on us, and that's why they created a 5D field. Like Pleiadians did on us, and they could create 5D
The
level.
5D grid was created by GFOL, the 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 cosmic government.
But in this, they took our DNA to like that
Chapter?
to help their bodies to adapt to this planet. They
Which
took
chapter?
and Pleiadians. Three, our diverse galactic family.
In Divine Designer?
Uh, Golden Book.
Acha, Golden Lake. Oh no, I don't remember that much because it has taken some time since I saw the.
That's why I'm rereading this book. So, like over here, it was mentioned 3D, 4D, and 5D beings. So, these Pleiadians, somewhere it was written that they experimented on us, these Pleiadians, and they are 5D. This was written in the book.
ID, those kind of emotions only are not there, no? The kind of experimenting emotions are not there. So, which means there, when they were doing also, the intention was something more different, I think.
Yes, ma'am, with different intentions because they were again their planet was descending, everything was devastated, disastrous for them because there was male energies were dominant, masculine energies and feminine energies were not there. In first of all in the Lyrans, and then Pleiadians too had something of this kind. Their civilization was going down. So they needed human DNA. Like all of them took human DNA. All of them did this. Only 4Ds are famous over here. But everyone, like all these people did. Reptilians too did. They created Draca and all that. But original reptilians are not that bad.
Yeah. Because they are from the 11th dimension or something.
Yes, ma'am. So whatever they created, that was disastrous.
Yeah, we
Or
can't say disastrous because everything is happening to save something else. Like in some video, Patriji says, right? He says that there is always a balance in the cosmos. Like in some, I think I spoke about that cancer video also. He says now there is cancer in the body. You don't like cancer, but at a cosmic level, the Prakriti has to evolve, that cells have to evolve means they have to see destruction, they have to see problems, they have to see stuff like that, and only then they will be able to evolve from that. Only when there are low frequencies, you will be able to evolve from that into a higher frequency. So at a cellular level also that is happening. So there is always that cosmic balance. You can't see it, but at a greater good, that Paramatma is managing. The Purusha's duty is to take the Prakriti along. So in that Prakriti's balance, he doesn't care whether you are an equal child. The cancer is also an equal child for him compared to you. He says such things. He told that in one of the videos. During Shambhala, they used to play these videos, no? In one of the videos, he told like that. So there is always a balance for us, for Prakriti, for the Paramatma, Pleiadians going down and humans actually having something to give the Pleiadians, he will ensure that there is sharing happening.
that makes sense.
Because everything is Paramatma only, right? So there is always, he's going to make sure that everybody has everything at some point. It is not just the human beings evolving. So there is no way he's saying that you can't restrict you can't restrict the ideas that I gave you to only restrict it to the human form.
Okay.
So maybe,
Right,
maybe that had to go across the cosmos. So everybody gets that share of that goodness.
Okay.
And maybe people were still not ready to give, or they didn't ask. I don't know what all happened, no, at that time. Nobody has mentioned about that. Why didn't they go ask GFOL, can we actually, why shouldn't you create a DNA, human body for us also? Why that thing has not been mentioned anywhere? Why should the stealing and abduction and all happen? So somewhere sharing was not happening, or asking was not happening. Somewhere it was restricted to the earth and her experiment. We also do such things. When we create something for our house, or even for our, if we have created something for India, we will not share it with other countries.
Yes,
When
we
we've
don't.
created something for our house, we will not share it with other houses. When we've created something for our company, we will not even share it with others. We will say copyright.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is an inherent nature, I think, where and this has happened in all of our human life also. We have happened. When I create a tiger, I don't want my tiger body to be destroyed.
Right.
So somewhere it is all getting balanced out at a cosmic level. And because they had technology, they had advancement in many different ways, they took the human DNA and they've also evolved much faster, much better. And because they had seen destructions in the past, so they had evolved fast, and now they're all coming to help us.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in Earth, the Living Library, this has been mentioned, like the ones which Palladians dictated Barbara. But they said one more thing, that our planet too will be destroyed in the future. In our future, our planet will be destroyed somehow. Like, we are so happy we are going towards 5D, and like this is a dawn period, golden dawn period for us. But they said not their planet is our destruction. They came here to change their future. No, their present they have to change by changing us, like making us aware. And they said your planet too will be destroyed in the future, just that it will be slow and theirs is fast.
Possibly at some point there will be still the 3D stuff going on level at some level, and maybe
Yes.
there will be people who will also create stuff, and then that will destroy Earth.
Yes, this is what they did. They kept on experimenting, creating these 4D people. They too created from us. So those things, our nature, our behavior, 3D aspects are carried on in those beings also. And they themselves are heartless kinds of people, some of them. So could be whatever they are creating is highly disastrous. We just don't know yet.
Mm.
At our
In
ascent,
duality, in duality, as much as good increases, bad also will increase. There is
yes,
no way you can control that. So the more you speak about ascension in the 3D level, and you keep trying to push people to 4D, 5D, and all that, you can't do that in isolation. You have to learn to balance. The people who are going on top, going higher, they have to learn to accept that, they have to learn to basically rise beyond that rising negativity also. So even when we are moving out, we will experience a lot of negative push in our own life, resistance, and many things are all like that only.
they all are surfing up now.
Yeah, they're all surfing up. It is a part of the game. So we need to go beyond that. That is why we have to constantly be aware of being in the center. Then we are accepting that also, this also. Okay, both of you stay, but I'll be here. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you. I'll be here. Both of you are good, happy children. Like that, we have to be. You have to try to be like that as much as possible. किसी को bad नहीं कहना है.
Ma'am, yesterday you said that in the future we will be requiring, like something you said, in the future we'll be requiring to be more centered. Many things are about to come, they'll come, and but still you don't
No,
have to be.
see,
Yesterday.
I said, as you are basically walking this path, you will have to be anchored, right? Anchoring means what? Tapping has to happen. Tapping, in the process of tapping, what actually happens is you'll be constantly shaken at each frequency. You'll be seen. Are you grounded? Are you grounded? Are you grounded means, are you established in that frequency, or if I shake you, you will drop? You should be established in that frequency, which means it has to like literally be sanked in. That concept or that habit has to like literally sink inside you, know. Until that sinks inside you, will be shaken. So I said tests will be keep coming. I said
Tests will come. Okay, ma'am.
Maybe for our own good, tests will come. It is that happens in every reality, not just 4D, 5D, and all that. So in 4D, I've heard this in one of the channels, not channel. She's probably a light being or something. She calls herself eighth dimensional being or something. So she was saying that in 4D, typically it is a transitional period. And now we are going through this 4D. It's a transitional period where you will be more trying to evaluate all of your duality aspects, and then you'll be neutralizing all of those kinds of things. It'll all surface, all the good duality aspects will keep surfacing in as experiences and all. It'll come in front of you, and you have to take each of these things and then put a neutrality chapa on each of these things by your response.
Okay.
Only then all aspects of you will become neutral. All aspects of you will go to oneness. Then only you can go and anchor. No, because if parts of you are in oneness and parts of you are in duality, you can't go to oneness.
We have to be 100%.
Yeah, whatever percentage needs anchoring, 80%, let's say. That much 80% at least should be in oneness. Then with that 80% heavy knowledge, you will be able to aramse manage the 20%. Because our practice has been done 80 times. So your practice is quite strong. So you will be able to definitely use the same practice for the rest of the 20% also. So until that happens, these things will continue to come in the 4D. But when you're established in the 5D and all of those things, then you'll have to learn to live in the present in the maybe in some part of the 4D aspects, higher part of 4D aspects. You will need to learn to live in the present, which means you need to work on single tasks at a time. Your mind and body has to be on single task at a time. I mean, these days I'm practicing. I used to do multitasking in the past. No, things used to get faster done. But now single task. I'm eating once. And then some other task had to be done. So I'm basically not able to cover everything, which I felt is okay. But I'm seeing, because everything will come and now I have to respond to that. Arey, no, I don't like single tasking. I can say that. Because not a lot of work is getting done. And I can basically say, no, I'll go back to multitasking. I can do that. But yeah, but what is the focus? The focus is to go back to single tasking.
So that we are in the present moment. That's why we have to do one task at a time.
Yeah. Where mind and body is on one task. Actually, these days I'm getting a lot of problems with multitasking. It is actually hitting me hard. It was never hitting me hard in the past. Like I was doing multitasking and I switched on the gas, and that gas was not switched off. And I had put, and then my husband scolded me saying, "What is this? Gas has been running for 2 hours." I couldn't see. It was basically light also was coming through the window, and that gas flame only I couldn't see. Otherwise, nothing is on the gas, but flame is on. That I did. I had my client sitting on the client call, and he saw.
Good, that flame was on.
Like this, many things have happened. I put my water bottle under the AquaGuard, and then I usually think it's very slow, that small, thin, it'll keep coming, no? So I thought, I'll go to the restroom and come back. And after I went to the restroom, my mind is somewhere else, right? Multitasking. So my mind is somewhere else. I forgot about the water bottle. I went off to the bedroom. So God knows by how long that water was flowing. Somebody else has switched it off. My daughter has not told me, but she did it probably. So like this, I'm getting the jhatka of multitasking. Why?
Yeah.
Because now I have to realize the value. It'll keep showing me like this. It'll keep showing me problems. And tomorrow, if I don't learn, some big jhatka I'm going to get.
Ma'am, I like this thing has been happening to me since long, but I never understood the essence. Now I am understanding why is this happening. Like I too did that, like 5 things at a time in the kitchen, like roti bhel rahe, tawa rakha hai, sabji rakhi hai, doodh ubal raha hai, and then water also filling, and then some mixie working. So like now I'm not able to do
See, now
something.
what I'm trying to do is, if you're doing chapati, be on the chapati. In that very moment. In the next moment, you're on the tawa, be with the tawa. In the next moment, you're with this, be with this. But when you're doing chapati, Don't think of the tawa. Like don't doing this also, and don't keep doing this. That's what I'm saying. In
Yes,
one
ma'am.
moment, you be with one task. It's okay if you're able to do chapati, tawa, all of it almost at the same time. But multitasking means in that moment, mind and body are in one.
Are in one. Okay.
You're
Got
still doing multiple things, which is okay. But your mind is in chapati baling. Your mind is in this one. Your mind is in that one at the
okay.
same time.
Got it. Got
If
it.
it switches, switch your body also.
Okay. Okay.
Let the mind and body be in one place. That is what is called being in the present.
Okay. Got it.
Otherwise, you can't do no. Otherwise, you'll have to roll all the chapatis, keep it in one place, then you do this. That is not That is not what we are talking about.
That okay. That is stupidity, according to me, basically. Okay. Okay, got it.
Okay. Nidhi, you had a no, nothing. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. There is no question. Are there any other questions? No
Maybe
questions.
only if we five are there. All of them have got. They get bored, I guess.
I don't know. Maybe it's either complex. Pata nahi. I'll not judge, but there are very many views on the YouTube. 50-55 views are there on YouTube.
Ma'am, you won't believe, like, now I'm able to correlate. Many a times while sleeping, once I woke up, I found as if I'm in a space. And there is this person in this corner of the room, and he is just wearing some cape, and his face is like another space, dark and stars in it. I didn't understand. I went back to sleep. And two or three more times, different kind of beings I've seen, as if I'm in space or somewhere else. And I thought it's a dream. But then you see what your brain has seen, that only you can see or reconstruct in your dream state. So I could never forget because I could not logic it. Now I'm finding the answer in it, like this thing must have happened.
They may have abducted you also.
But what did they do of me? They
They've
marked
taken you
each
and then
other.
they've taken you and then given them to some more 4D races. So maybe your ancestors are somewhere. You are their ancestor.
Like, I'm having goose flesh when you were reading it. I was having goose flesh because I have experienced it like firsthand. And once while meditating, also I saw like lot many things I've seen. But that I is understood because that I know I'm meditating and this is liable to happen. But while sleeping, when these things happened, I couldn't forget in so many years. Also, thrice it has happened, and I could never forget them. I could not logic even and when we were young, man, you must have seen Knowing of what is that hero's name? Knowing is the movie. In that,
Mhm. English movie, right?
yes, ma'am. What?
Abduction.
Yes, the hero, face of hero. What is the name of that face of hero? He's a nice hero. So in that we couldn't understand, like we were quite young, but I think we should rewatch it. In that they were talking about they were
Nicolas
talking
Cage.
about invisible aliens.
Nicolas Cage.
Nicholas Cage, right? Yeah,
Mm.
hero. So you just now saw that.
I
Okay.
saw that in Google, yes.
Yeah.
I may have
Uh,
seen the movie, but I don't remember the names of the movies.
yeah. Abhi, like while
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
I've seen that movie. I've seen that movie. Yeah, I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
And-
seen that movie. Mm.
yeah. And that those invisible aliens were there, and those crop fields were
Now,
like.
now, when I think we see that movie, we'll understand. Yes.
Yes, we'll understand that. And there
See,
were a
many
lot
of these
many
movies, right?
movies.
Matrix,
Metric.
many of the Steven Spielberg movies, many of even these kind of movies, they've actually done it as a science fiction movie. But
Yes.
actually, they've taken it from these books only, and because if you go and tell people, okay, this is what it is, and all of it, this is all real and all that, how can you even prove all of these things? You can't prove. It is just a
No,
belief. That's all. If you want to believe, you believe. But yeah, you can. Everybody will go and watch the science fiction movie.
Ma'am, there's Tomorrowland, not much, like hardly 10 years old. 10 years back it came. Tomorrowland, again, I forgot the hero name, but again, it was talking about developed civilization, highly developed city kinds. Tomorrowland, if you watch it. But not much detail is there. They are introducing a concept that there is an invisible city you'll find, as if it's a complete ground, but that those people needed some sort of glasses to see, like 3D glasses are there, some 3D glasses to see that land, they enter that city, kind of thing. So it was all fiction to me before reading these books.
I think Abduction was a series, English series. They were documentary series. I don't think they were movie. That was not a movie, I think. Anyway,
Ma'am, there was
yeah.
something. Yes, ma'am, there was something. Series was there, like TV series was there. They were about DNA and all that. They used to take. In US, there is some a secret a laboratory or something over there. Used to take people, abduct people, and take out their DNA or something. There was some series.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Chalo, guys. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
I mean, I used to hear this in Gita class. My Gita teacher used to say, as the Gita progresses, initially there'll be so many X number of people. Then, as the Gita progresses to second Shatak, some people will drop. As the Gita progresses to third Shatak, many people will drop, she used to say, based on experience. Because as you go to the higher chapters, the chapters become very complex. And you need a lot of energy to also be in the part of the class. So literally it happened. In fact, many people dropped. They dropped. They couldn't attend. Sorry, we are going to this place, that place, marriage, function, something or the other. They would say they couldn't attend, and eventually they dropped. Now we are only, like, it started where at about 30 people started. Over time, now it is only hardly 12 people. So like this, so many things happen when it is a high energy thing. Even I think Shambhala, I
Yes,
don't know whether
Deepti ma'am said the same. Yes, Deepti
she
ma'am
also
said.
told,
Yes.
because over time many people, we will see how many people will stick on to, and then how many people will even watch the entire 5 hours. She was doing 5 hours during that time, no? She used to
Yes.
do first 1.5 hours of meditation, and then
And
after that she would do 4
so,
hours of talking.
yeah,
And
4 hours.
in that, so much of gyan she's given.
Yes.
I used to be literally listening to that till what, 10 o'clock, 10:30 she used to talk sometimes. So yeah,
Yes.
and then not everybody have actually listened to all her videos throughout.
Even I couldn't listen. Like I had to leave the room because I had to make food for lunch for my son and breakfast for everyone.
It's possible.
So
What I'm
by
saying is, no,
30 I had to leave.
it's possible that there are only certain intended people. I attended all the classes. What I did not attend was the beginning part, Patriji's messages and all. I haven't. I used to join late, which means I used to join at 45 or something like that, 4:45 or something. So like that, I later on started to listen to his stuff. In fact, I've done 25 videos again in between. After Shambhala stopped, again I
Mm.
did 25 classes. I did by the time this started, so I stopped doing that. Eventually, I'll again finish off that
So
also.
at what time do you start attending this class?
This is
Exactly
at
4.
4 o'clock, no?
Yeah, but Patri starts like she starts the video of Patri, so I guess at 3:30.
3:30.
Yeah,
He starts
3:30.
at 3:30. Every day, 3:30, I switch on.
Yeah, even I switch on at
Miss
3:30.
3:45, again it will start.
Okay.
That audio, no, she repeats it again in between.
I switch on many a times at 3:30, many a times at 3:45, but I keep moving and keep listening. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Okay.
if you happen to come across like if again Geeta class starts, will
Uh,
you please forward me
just
the
stop the recording. Where is the stop?